And my glasses just broke, so I may be very... At any rate, I'd like to, before we start the meditation, honor all those people, men and women, who served this country. We're going to hold a full minute of silence. And so let's just do that right now. Taking a deep breath. And just listen intently to the silence in honor of these who served. And take another deep breath. Just let it out with a sigh. And so interesting on this Memorial Day weekend that I want to honor the 4 people who came from my first church in Ohio, my first full-time church really, Strongsville, Ohio. They're down here in this row. And I'm so happy to see you. It touches my heart. So thank you. All right, well, let's go into meditation. And we begin by breathing deeply and allowing ourselves to just relax. Relax into this sacred moment. And as you breathe, allow the stream of your thoughts to flow more and more quietly. Let go. Let go and feel a golden light enfolding you in a comforting and a wonderful glow of protection. As you become relaxed and receptive, feel the opening of your heart center right now. As your heart center opens, this golden light is flowing into and through you, giving you a wonderful feeling of clarity and peace. Clarity is like looking through a deep and clear pool of water. Water that when you look down into it, you see everything at the bottom because it's so pure. And that purity is like the truth with a capital T, for it reveals the truth and what is really inside. What seems to be far away in understanding is now up close and personal. What was dim is now open to you. It is the magnificent truth of God's gift of the divine faculty of life. It is the way, the truth, and the life of God constantly regenerating, revitalizing your mind, your body, your thoughts. The life of God is constantly regenerating. I'll hold that thought for just one moment. As you become completely surrounded by this golden light, behold and imagine yourself in a beautiful garden with a sparkling fountain of water. It's in the middle. It's a clear pond. It's pure and it's sweet. And I invite you right now to take that first step and walk toward the fountain, for it is the fountain of truth. And for a moment, as you approach the fountain, think of something or a lot of things that you would like not to have burdens. If it's relationships, if it's anger, whatever it is, just think about it for a moment. This fountain of life dissolves anything that's put into it. And instead of just dissolving, it transforms it. And so I invite you. I did this morning. It was wonderful. Take those burdens, those thoughts, the life situation, and just cast them into that fountain. And watch as it transformed to little hearts, little butterflies that just go up into the air. The fountain has absorbed them and transformed them. And if you have let them go truly, you will feel lighter. You will feel eased of all those burdens. Vital life energy will course through your entire mind and your body. We don't want blocks. And so we let the blocks go. They're not like the blocks we played with as children. They were fun. And speak only now life-affirming words about yourself. Remember who you are. Let your body, your mind, radiate wholeness and strength, as well as spiritual understanding. For you are truly one with the energy that moves throughout your living being. It is the same energy of God as it moves through the environment, the sun, the earth. And no matter what difficulty you face, remember, the universe is kind and loving and on your side. It is safe to be here in the center point of your heart. As we go into the silence, just repeat, life, life, life. I am one with the ever-renewing, ever-unfolding expression of infinite life. Life, life, life. As we return to this time and this place, realize that God has given us a fresh start. With every breath we take, it is a fresh start. And so we are here in spiritual consciousness to forever break the bonds of limitation. And we do it through the creative process in God's eternal kingdom of life. And let us now open our hearts, giving thanks for the many wonderful gifts we have been given. And so it is. Amen and amen. Well, the talk today is called Lessons in Truth. You know, when I first applied for ministerial school, they asked me what was Unity's main text. And I said, Lessons in Truth, proudly. And they slapped me down and said, no, it's the Bible. Okay, Lessons in Truth is second then, because that's just what I gotta say. Well, I want to tell you, first of all, a beautiful story. It's about a Jewish family. And it related to me in consciousness about sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. So it's told by an older gentleman who went back to when he was a very young Jewish boy. And he had waited all week long because they were poor. They lived in Poland. And throughout the week, they only had very plain meals. But I think it was Saturday, on Friday, the mother cooked up this wonderful, luxurious bowl of beans. And he was so excited, he was waiting to have that. And he was barely containing himself. He was playing outside when all of a sudden he heard a blood-curdling scream. It was from his mother. She had actually used a spoon that was mixed in the beans, and it had dairy on it. Now, in that particular religion at that time, you couldn't mix dairy with meat. So she had to throw the stew out. The boy was really upset. It was forbidden, and he was just devastated. So he went in and talked to his family. He said, you know, Rabbi is very, very smart. He has a lot of wisdom. Yes, he does. He said, well, why don't you let me go to him, and maybe he can tell us how to handle this. Of course, he had an ulterior motive. So he went to the rabbi, and he said, you know, the beans were ruined because the spoon was there that had dairy on it. And the rabbi said to the 9-year-old, you are much too young to be dealing with such weighty matters. Go home and tell your parents to come and see me. So the boy retraced his steps, and he quietly entered the house. His parents were quite anxious, and they said, what did the rabbi say? What did the rabbi say? The 9-year-old looked up, and he answered, Mama, Papa, you know how wise the rabbi is. Yes. Well, here's what the rabbi said. Throw away the spoon. I wasn't that smart as a kid, but I love it. Well, anyhow, what this demonstrates is not lying. Our loyalty to convictions rather than tradition. Recently, I looked again. One of my favorite operettas is Fiddler on the Roof. And everything is about tradition in that, right? It's a wonderful play. And we saw it here a few months ago. And I thought about it. I thought, it's true. There are good things in tradition. We're not saying that here. But there are times we don't take tradition so seriously that we have to throw out our bowl of beans. The one and only meal a week that you're really going to have a good time with. That's an inspiring example that at some point we have to make a stand and come up with something genuine, authentic. And that's what the kid did. There's another inspiring story I want to tell you, and it's about Jimmy Carter. He left the Southern Baptist Church, which was really hard for him because he was a very involved member of that society. And he did it because he had been working with a bunch of people who were working with Nelson Mandela. And they were talking about the abuse of women in the world. And the elders from all religious traditions were saying that even though we know this is going on, nobody addresses it. Jimmy Carter's decision became a result of being in this group and hearing the stories that he heard. Because of tradition, unexamined acceptance of secondhand interpretations of ancient Bible or other texts, these women were being abused. And I have a point to my talk, honestly. I'm going to get to it eventually. But there are countless women around the world who accept such hatred because they're going on the same traditional things. So this week we're talking about Lessons in Truth. Dr. Emily Cady actually did a series of articles called Lessons in Truth, and then it was made into a book. They were compiled probably in the 1800s. The very first chapter in the book is called Bondage or Freedom, Which? This is a question we should ask ourselves all the time. Are we accepting bondage as human beings? Or are we accepting liberty? Liberty to be authentically ourselves. It's a good question, and later on I'm going to tell you about an experience I had this week. Dr. Cady writes, and you know, they said human beings. They didn't say human beings, they said man. So So I'm going to read it the way she wrote it. Every man believes himself to be in bondage to the flesh and to the things of the flesh. All suffering is the result of this belief. Let me say that again. All suffering is the result of this belief that we're in bondage to this flesh, that we have no control. Think about it. She goes on to say that the history of the Israelites coming out of bondage was terrifying to them. The journey metaphysically represents growing up out of our sense part of our humanity and into the spiritual. See, that's why we're here. We want to grow from all these temptations and things that we have, not that all of them are bad, but sometimes we have to realize there's a higher way to be. In the story, their escape, God selects Moses, of course, to lead them out of bondage and into liberty. And he said, God came to him and he said, God said, I have seen the affliction of my people and I've heard their cry. I'm now coming down to deliver them and bring them into the land of milk and honey. Now those were paraphrased, but notice it's in the present tense. God is always in the present tense. It's not in the past, it's not in the future. In being here now, being aware, being really in charge, in alert. And I always like that saying, I'm alert, alive, and enthusiastic. Because if we are, we're in the present. And it becomes a wonderful way to have a life that's aware, that's actually having fun. So, in the story of their escape, Emily Cady says that sometimes, somewhere, every human being must come to themselves. And she says, when we get tired of eating the husks, then we must arise and go to the Father. So when I had a little difficulty this morning getting out of bed again, it's not my favorite thing to do at 4 o'clock, but I did it because my cats were jumping on me. But I thought about it and I thought, why do I have trouble? It's just a belief. And it's putting me in bondage to the way I get up in the morning. So I bounded out of bed. Well, not quite bounded, but I did get out of bed. You see, the Creator wants to bless his highest creation. That's you. That's me. That's all of us. Emily Cady says, sometimes everywhere we must come to ourselves. That is, each of us must make a conscious decision that we have had enough of the chaos and decide once and for all, we're going to the Father and we're going to nurture a strong desire to do it. You know, this is really a very exciting time. It's also a very chaotic time. We can choose to make it exciting and look at the beautiful things instead of looking at what the chaos is bringing to us. It's hard sometimes. Jimmy Carter's decision and the story of the Jewish boy, they made a decision of conscience, and that illustrates we can do it too. There's one other inspiring story I want to talk about, and that is for Lubna Hussein in the Sudan. How many of you have heard of her? Well, Lubna was a female journalist who was accused of violating the Islamic dress code. She had been incarcerated on charges of indecent dressing. This charge dictates a penalty of 40 lashes. That's such a severe punishment. I cannot even comprehend how horrible it would be. 40 lashes by a whip with a strong man could kill her. It would cut into her flesh. Yet, what was her crime? She and a few women went out in public in trousers. In trousers. Now, in tradition, they didn't do that. She's making a statement for freedom, for liberty. She said she was willing to take the 40 lashes from male-dominated religious people in Sudan. She was making a human sacrifice to get out in the open the plight of the women. But a wonderful thing happened. The wonderful thing was that 40 women decided to go out in trials to defend her. And although they were beaten back at that time, nevertheless, they made a statement. That's really courage. Courage of a kind I'm not sure I have. But it's amazing, and it's a wonderful story. So why do humans treat each other so badly? Fear. Fear. You know, that's why Moses didn't make it to the promised land. He said, "Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Jehovah." The passage is saying that we have to overcome our fear. And we all have fear. Whether it's standing up and giving a talk, most people don't want to do that. Sometimes it's hard for me to do it. Although I love being with you and I love talking with you. So he was trying to tell them we want to break our chains of bondage. And it's just saying that we must come to ourselves by going forward, by going to God. That's what stand still means. Nothing else will ever make us master of our own destiny. So if we still regard our position as impossible, that's fear. As I've gotten older, a lot of times I'm tempted to say, well, I'm kind of old to be thinking to do that. And I have a friend who encourages me. It's my stalker. Anyway, I've decided I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to do what I think I might want to do. And I'm scared a little bit, but I think that's a good thing. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you have a young heart, if you feel like you're young inside, how many of you look in the mirror and say, I feel young? Why does those wrinkles come up on my face? Well, Dr. Katie writes this. She says, the human intelligence is so accustomed to the sound of words they heard from childhood that they often convey no real meaning. Do we stop to think, she said, to really comprehend what it means to be heirs and joint heirs with Christ? That's what we're told. You're not just a child of God. You're an heir. And we don't claim it. Many of us don't claim it. Romans 8:17 says, every person is the inlet and may become the outlet of all there is in God. This means that all that God is and has is in reality for us. And that's fabulous. Here's another thing she said. Every right thought is bound by immutable laws to be fraught with good results. So there is a law out there that I often talk about, and I just can't talk about it enough. The law is inexorable. When you put out good thoughts all the time, it has to give you good. It has no choice. It's kind of like surrendering all those little things we say. Oh, I'm so tired. Vivian told me that once. Vivian was our board president of a strong show. I'm sick and tired. And she said she got tired of being sick and tired. So she gave it up. No one can grow in spiritual power without it. So we have to practice meditation, and we have to practice that being still. Even if it's, new research is showing all you have to do is for 10 seconds, get quiet throughout the day. 10 seconds. 10 minutes meditation is all you really need. Now, I do a lot more because I like it. But do 10 minutes a day. Everybody can have 10 minutes. Just sit down and listen, or use a word, or whatever you like. But sit down and be still. Here's the problem. What we want to experience is God. We say that. It's like we're going around with a bucket with a hole in it. And we're looking for anything good to fill it with. And so, what do? We have a little baby. He tastes chocolate. Whoa, good, huh? So he fills his bucket with chocolate. He wipes it all over himself. Oh, he's so happy he found the chocolate God. But pretty soon, he gets sick. Now, does that change his opinion? Nope. He's going to go back and eat more chocolate. You see, the baby is saying, chocolate is God. That's what it's saying. Oh, I need more and more. And this is what happens. He discovers the first commandment. He gets sick, and then he hears this statement, I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange chocolate before me. You don't want that strange chocolate before going to God. Then, after the chocolate wave, or some of us still have it, but we want a bike, don't we? That bike is going to fill my bucket. And we moan and complain, and finally we get our bike, and maybe for a few months, it really does. It feels really good. And then what happens? It's still a little off. You know, the bike was nice and all, but you didn't go to God. You see, the good things that God gives us is to lead us to God. It's to say, look, this is good, but better over here. And it never ends. We just keep throwing things in the bucket. But unless we get back to the beginning and understand truly, you know, God is present, equally present in every situation. That was hard for me to believe in 911, but it's true. We're supposed to go from our good to God. Emily Cady gives it to us straight. We must have a relationship with God, period, over and out. Carl Jung said, be true to yourself. In the final analysis, we count for something only because of that essential spirit within us. And no matter how much we may dislike somebody, that spirit is in every one of us. And choose to look at that, not at what the person may be putting out there. This is what turns things around in consciousness. This is what makes things happen. If enough people can hold and have faith in that presence that indwells each and every person, this world would be changed. So we have to examine ourselves. Are we being true to ourselves? And this is what I wanted to talk to you about today. Last week, somebody called me and was it last week? Yeah. Last Thursday, somebody called and said, are you coming to Dream Group? I didn't want to go to Dream Group, but I like this person. But I didn't want to go to Dream Group. So anyway, I thought about it. I thought, well, it wouldn't hurt you to get up and go to Dream Group. I'm giving myself all these excuses. And I really like this person, and I like being with them, but I don't want to go to Dream Group. Finally, I said, the truth is you don't want to go to Dream Group. I said, yeah. So, okay, I'm a coward. I texted her, and I said, I don't really want to go to Dream Group. I'll see you next week when we already have a date to go out. Whew, I got over with it. I began to feel more relaxed, a little guilty, and then I finally said, you did the right thing. And I felt better. I congratulated myself. And then I found a book, in my many books. I don't know how many of you know Armando. He's like a comedian. He wrote a book, said, and now I pronounce you not guilty. And I started reading it, and I went, oh my gosh, this would make a wonderful series of talks, so I might do that. He puts things that way. You're not guilty. You don't have to do anything anybody insists you do. If you don't want to do something, some of us have to go to work. I'm sorry you can't give up work. You have to eat also. But you don't have to do everything everybody says. It's not required. The only thing that's required is that you lift yourself up. As Jesus said, if I be lifted up, the whole world will be lifted up. So if we all did that, what a world this would be. Do what is good for you. So I felt rejuvenated and I slept really well. So this morning, right here, right now, I want to ask you a question. What will you choose today, this week? Are you going to choose bondage or liberty? Which? Thank you. Thank you, dear God. And bless all of you.